so that everybody can see it, not just all panelists, not just Guy and me. And just say hello and tell us where you're joining from. And Guy, you sound like you're creaking now. I don't know what that is, but hi, Eugene.
Well, it could be because I'm a year older, Katthe. I just had a birthday and I'm a little more creaky than usual. I'm going to stand still.
Hi, Sherry from Eugene, Oregon. Hi, Barb from Balsam Lake, Wisconsin. That's
welcome.
Awesome. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Hi, Henry.
Mississippi.
And Tanika from Bremerton. It's wonderful
welcome.
to meet you. Some of you are old friends and some of you are new names for me. So I'm delighted, or at least if you've been lurking but haven't put your name in the chat before. Hi, Denise. Welcome. Everybody's following instructions today. This is a great day. They all put it to all panelists and attendees. That's very exciting to me. That is extremely exciting.
Yep.
Welcome, welcome.
I'm a fan.
Clicking the chat, opening it up, directing it to all. Wait, please go back, Dee. I'm selecting all panelists and attendees. It's 12 o'clock, so we're going to start right now. And I want to introduce us to our topic today, which is diving deep into family and open conversation. We've gotten feedback from a number of attendees that they love the cafes and they love cafe style presentations. And so we're trying to mix it up in our webinar offerings so that some of them are more informational and have content that's more, you know, somebody teaching what they know. And some of them are more just us hanging out with each other and exploring concepts together. And so I'm delighted. I'm Katthe Wolf, and I'm delighted to be here today with Guy Schingoethe, who has done this before with us. And Guy, you might remember Guy from what was the funny one that you did, Guy?
It was laughing, how to laugh when you want to cry. So it's a little earlier in the pandemic universe when we were trying to figure out what was funny or how to put a smile on our faces for a bit. And then a couple others, I think vitality and protective factors early on, but that's it.
Yeah, Guy is a founding partner of Be Strong Families. He's our COO, and we've been working together for more than, 20 years or something, Guy? I mean,
we're about to hit 20 years in a couple weeks, Katthe. So that's pretty incredible.
So most of us were significantly younger when we started, and I guess it's kind of a great for this presentation or for this webinar, because I consider Guy part of my work family and part of my family, because he's kind of like one of the longest term relationships I have. So anyway, that's where we're.
Plus they say you can't really get rid of your real family. And so we haven't been able to get rid of each other yet. So.
Yeah. Awesome. So.
Or your biological.
Dee's here from Be Strong Families as well. Dee is going to be making sure everything runs smoothly. I always feel very supported when Dee's in the house. So the next thing is just to remind everybody. About how to engage and to turn off my phone so we don't hear it. We have the chat, which you're already using. You can use that at any time to answer a question, to ask a question, to comment on something someone said. And if you want to talk, we're really hoping that we'll have some hands raised today. And we'll actually have voices other than me and Guy, because we have a lot of questions and we want to get you to answer. So we're hoping that you will use the raised hands, and we're going to be patient and try to wait for people to actually, talk with us. And that function, does everybody know how to raise their hand? Where is that? You go under, Dee, where's the raise hand function? It's under the participants, and at the bottom of the participants, like where it says participants, you can see at the bottom of the list, there's a thing that says raise hand. Yes, next to the chat, participants and the participants menu. So you raise your hand, and then Dee will call on you and unmute you, and then you'll need to unmute yourself before you can speak. So that's how we're going to work it today. And Henry and Sarah are ahead of the game. We always have agreements whenever Be Strong Families does anything, and these agreements are in the recognition that we're co-creating the safe space together. So especially because we're going to use the hand raise function, I'd like you to be mindful of the agreements. To speak from your own experience using I statements, to follow the golden rule and treat other people the way you want to be treated, and just to be here now. So if you agree to these, do what our other attendees are doing and put in the chat, I agree. That gets you warmed up for interacting. Awesome, I love it. We're all agreeing, that's great. Perfect, okay, let's go to the next slide. This is just a 1-minute little introduction to get you in a good mood about our open interactive discussion about family. What's wrong with you?
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together rookie, the Addams Family. Their house is a museum where people come to see them. They really are a scream, the Addams Family.
Neat. Sweet. Petite.
So get a witch's shawl on, a broomstick you can crawl on. We're gonna pay a call on the Addams Family.
Awesome. Who remembers that? My favorite program, Beatrice says, remember back in the day, and that was when I was growing up, that was on in black and white. I think it was even before my time. And then last year, that was the animated version that revived. So let's go to the next slide, Dee, and dive into our questions. So whenever we start cafes, we always ask the question, who are you and who is in your family? And our question now is, what TV family now or in the past is the most like your family and why? And we have a bunch of TV families up here, but obviously not like completely, what do you want to say, comprehensive. There's a lot of TV and movie families. So what TV or movie family now or in the past is most like your family and why? And we'll take a couple of people answering with raising the hand. We got Roseanne's family from Lauren. But Guy, while we're waiting for people to raise their hands, Guy, do you want to answer this question?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm Guy Schingoethe, as you know. I have a little family, a little compact group here in South Suburban Chicago, made up of my wife Erica and Sterling, and my parents live in different parts of the Chicago suburbs. I also have a brother, and that's who's kind of my immediate family, biological family. This was a tough question for me because I know I always wanted to be, growing up, I always wanted to be like the Cosby Show family. That show, I just used to love watching their family. Everyone, seemed together, smart and had great jobs, and they did these lip syncing songs every now and then. But I think currently somewhere I'm a mix between Modern Family and The Simpsons. And I think The Simpsons, because we kind of have some gallows humor in our house, and we're a little off the beaten path. And I guess Modern Family too, because we're a little off the beaten path, but kind of a mixture of both of those. I don't know. My son goes to a lot of rock concerts. He sees me perform. He's into performance and really into film and starting to explore the genre of horror and things like that. So I don't know, it just seems a little bit unique. So that would be my answer to that.
Cool. Okay, so who's going to raise their hand and tell us who are you, who's in your family, and what TV family now or in the past is most like your family and why? We're really looking for some brave soul who wants to talk. Who are you? We have hands? Awesome. Dee says we have some hands. I'm not seeing them. So, Dee? Who are we unmuting first?
Sandra.
Hi, am I unmuted?
Yes. Sandra?
Yes.
Good.
Hi, I'm Sandra, and my family was more like the Brady Bunch family because my father had married a gal that she had children, he had children, and so we were just the Brady Bunch.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Sandra. And
You're
who's
welcome.
next?
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for sharing. Beatrice, who are you and who is in your family and what TV family now or in the past is the most like yours?
Well, I come from Puerto Rico, and my dad is, he was a chef for 45 years, but at the same time, he was a farmer. Then I'm very familiar with the Little House on the Prairie because you need to know how to milk cows and take care of goats and grow your own vegetables and fish your own fish if you want it. Then I'm a very country girl and I love it.
Thank you. That's great. I wonder if one of you who said Lauren, are you Lauren? Could you talk or Elda? Who put your in the chat? Could you tell us who you are, who's in your family, and why Roseanne's family is like yours? Can you raise your hand? Either Lauren or Elda or both of you.
I don't know.
I guess they don't want to talk. All right. It's like pulling teeth, you all. Come on, help us. Actively engaged. Okay, we'll go to the next question.
Oh, we have a hand.
Oh, Lauren says the family I grew up in is dysfunctional like Roseanne's, and I'm the blonde sister who is trying to get out. There you go, Lauren. Thank you. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, we have another. Raquel raised her hand, right? Did Raquel raise her hand? See?
Yeah,
I
briefly.
don't see Raquel's hand raised,
Yeah, Raquel did
but
raise her
she
hand.
says yes.
Yes,
Well,
I'm
let's unmute her.
able to speak.
Are you able to unmute her?
There we
Go
go.
ahead, Raquel, you're good.
Okay, Raquel.
Hi. I guess for me,
Hi.
I'm thinking of my Greek wedding family because we're always wanting to have parties for everything, and there's everybody kind of gets into everybody's business, but we love each other. Like we're really close knit, and when we need something, we're there for each other. But very typical of just always loud, always have food when we're going to get together. It's all about, a big party. And we miss that because we haven't been able to do that.
Yeah.
And so we really, really miss being able to be together.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Isn't it great to hear about other people's families and just how different we are, and then how also connected we are. So, and Elda says she grew up in a dysfunctional family like Roseanne's as well. I was trying to think of for my own answer, I was trying to think of like my family of origin, and I don't really think that there is, I don't know, I couldn't find one. And then I started thinking of Homeward Bound and the animals that connected to each other and then went on a journey to try to find home. And I feel like that's kind of like my adult life. That's kind of how my family has feels to me. And because my family feels like it's a lot of people who are, I have a biologically related people, but I'm not necessarily even the closest to those people. And I have people that I consider like sisters, and I've had, kind of a father figure that was very close to me, a rabbi that when he died, it felt like my father had died. And I have a bunch of kids that call me mom that aren't necessarily, that I didn't adopt formally, but I'm kind of spiritually adopted. Denise is raising her hands. Denise? You're unmuted? Or are you?
Oh,
There we
okay,
go.
thank you. I was just getting ready to just put it in chat, but you caught me. I actually asked my daughter what family she thought, and she was thinking the same one, which was the Fresh Prince. And I think it's because we were always, it was always people we was trying to help out or help each other, and just like I was hearing you say, have so many people calling of mom and my husband, it's dad. If we go to the community now, it's the same thing they still do, and they parents themselves. So I would say like the Fresh Prince because it was a two parent home, the family that I have now, and when I grew up, the same thing. So I would kind of say like the Fresh Prince.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you for playing.
Cool.
And we're going on to our next slide, and we're going to start talking about social media. And we have two questions. No, please go back, Dee. We're going to talk about social media. And we have two questions about social media here. And the first one is like, how does seeing other people's social media posts impact your feelings about your own family? And what kind of things do you normally post about your family? So you can either write in the chat or raise your hand. We love to hear people talking. But what kinds of things do you normally post on social media about your family? And how does seeing other people's social media posts impact your feelings about your own family? Guy, do you want to start talking?
Sure.
Prime the pump?
Yeah, I can resonate with these questions in a couple ways, and I'll see if I can create some direction with them. But when it comes to seeing other people's social media posts impact my feelings about my own family, or how does seeing other people's posts, usually I'm more often than not kind of like sometimes, depending on what they're talking about, I'm like, blah, like why are they even talking about that on social media? Or I always get jazzed up when couples are telling each other they love each other on social media, and I think to myself, I'm like, wait, isn't like that person in the kitchen and you're on the couch? Like, why do you have to post this? So I sometimes feel it's superfluous. And then sometimes on the darker side of that, it can lead me to feel kind of inferior, or like I've used this description before. Like I see their kitchens look so much more updated and nice than mine, and it makes me I'm like, oh man, like they have a great looking kitchen. How can I even share things like that? But when it comes to my own family, I think I tend to keep it a little more surface level. I'll post funny things, and I'll post things, from events. Like, we're at a Mother's Day dinner, posting a picture of us, or happy birthdays or stuff like that. I feel like I'm not as actively sharing about my closest family members on Facebook or on social media, mostly flagging events and things like that.
Sarah says, I only post pictures of having fun or funny things. I'm generally surface level as well. And Raquel says she's chosen not to have a Facebook account, so I have to ask my family to send me pics through text. I also have to make more calls and use FaceTime or Zoom. My mom was also the one who keeps me updated on family and relatives and how they're doing. How are other people using social media with their family?
Does anyone want to jump in and raise their hand?
Yeah, who wants to raise their hand? And I'll talk, but we need some hands raised. Tell us what you're feeling about this. I could say that seeing other people's social media posts, I don't know, I feel like it gives me a window into other people's realities, like, but it doesn't really, I guess I've felt like my family is not like other people's families for a really long time. So it's almost like the same as watching TV. It's like watching these like Ozzie and Harriet, or that's old, but like watching these like really families having a good time or having celebrations, or, you know, it just, it makes me feel the same way it feels when I'm watching idyllic pictures on TV. I never really thought about it before because that it's the same for me. And I never really questioned the reality of it or what's behind it. And I don't post much about my own family. I mostly on social media. I also like have diminished the amount that I'm using social media. But I don't post that much about my family. Like maybe if I go to a Thanksgiving or something, I might post a Thanksgiving picture. You know, like I have done that. We've had Ethiopian Thanksgiving feasts for the last number of years. So I post a picture of the food because it's unusual, and my, you know, whoever's gathered there, who is my family. Beatrice is going to talk.
Yeah.
Great.
I like to, before I post a lot of pictures of my family, but I have two, my daughter and my son, they have 27 and 18 right now. And they sit down with me. We call it the Arthur table. When they have something to share with me and they tell me, Mom, stop doing that because it's not safety. I let them explain to me why they think it's not safety. And I stopped doing it. But we have a group in my brothers and my sisters, and we contact each other with my parents that we call daily. And I see daily my father and my mom from Puerto Rico. And but family pictures, I stopped doing it because my kids be very disappointed, and they don't feel that what happening around with the hackers and everything, that is safe. Then
Feel it's unsafe to have your family pictures on social media?
yes, they by the way, I was hacked in Facebook, and they opened an account using my daughter pictures
Oh
that I
wow.
put before. Then my daughter said to me, Mom, you never learned the lesson. How old are you? And I need to keep telling you, don't do this because it's not safe.
I see. So
Uh,
people hacking and using the photos for other purposes.
yes, and by the way, they put that I was single, and then I'm looking for a handsome man and all that stuff. And I say, excuse me, hello. And my daughter say, I told you, Mom, be careful.
Right.
And
Thank you.
they said that I live in Alaska. And I say, what? I never come out of Illinois.
Well, thank you, Beatrice. Thank you for sharing. Sarah says she used to think what people posted was a good glimpse into people's lives until I realized it's pretty easy to share amazing pictures of how great their lives are, and they could be having significant issues behind the scenes. I think that's true. Like a lot of people post the you know the most ideal day and not the other days. Elda says she doesn't use. Oh, Tony says I recently used Facebook to get the word out to family members about my mom's stroke and to give everyone updates about her. I have family all over Pennsylvania and the U.S., but usually only post funny memes or happy birthdays. And I'm sorry to hear about your mom's stroke, Tony. That's hard. Um, and with prayers to her, and I hope that she's recovering. Elda says she doesn't use social media very often, doesn't share many things about her family. I don't appreciate the stereotypes some people post on social media. Love to hear more about what stereotypes you don't appreciate. Elda, if you want to raise your hand. Maria says, I would love to talk, but my remote learner is having a meltdown. Oh, get it. When seeing other people's posts, I will either like, comment, depending on what I see, or scroll past the post. I really don't think much about it because it's simply a snapshot, not the whole picture. And Vera says, my siblings and I have a family page on Facebook to share about our families. We live in the US and Canada. My families are the only ones who read this page. That's pretty interesting. And Tony says, thank you. She's doing
Interesting
amazing.
idea.
Thanks for the prayer. She's been home for 2 weeks. That's wonderful. And Maria, if you need to take care of your remote learner, we understand that as well. We feel your pain. So let's go to the next slide, Dee, and continue diving deep into the social media issue and family. So this is a picture of John Legend and his wife, Chrissy Teigen, and their kids at a birthday party, I believe. And the question we have, Dee, can you do the next animation? And this is a picture, well, this is a picture of Chrissy Teigen, who's John Legend's wife and a model and businesswoman in her own right. And she posted this yesterday about her miscarriage. It's a hospital photo, and she's writing to her Jack. I'm so sorry. That Jack is what they began to call the baby. She says, I'm so sorry the first few moments of your life were met with so many complications, and we couldn't give you the home you needed to survive. We'll always love you. Thanking everyone, and they're so grateful for the life that they have with their babies Luna and Miles, and for all the amazing things to be able to experience. But every day can't be full of sunshine. On this darkest of days, we will grieve, we will cry our eyes out, but we will hug and love each other harder and get through it. So there's been some questions. I mean, a lot of people have responded to Chrissy Teigen's post of this, like, sharing of a really traumatic experience for her family, as well as the good and the bad. So the question we have for you is, what are the benefits and downsides to bringing more real into our social media posts in general? And I'm looking at what we've got so far, and these are responding to the previous question. So while you're thinking about this question, Raquel says, I like the idea of having a family page on Facebook. Thanks for sharing, everyone. I like that idea too. I tried to get a Slack or something. I tried to get us to have like a family Slack or something so that we could share things that, because I learned about some of deaths in my family by Facebook, like my extended family, on my cousin's page, you know, and I just called my mom and said, what happened? You know, because I didn't hear about it. You know, it was jarring to read about things on Facebook. Elda says the stereotype she's referring to are how Hispanic families are supposed to behave. And I don't appreciate the way people make fun of culture and traditions. Yeah, I can see that. I don't appreciate when people make fun of anybody's culture or traditions. Really don't like that. So
when I think about this question, Katthe, I mean, I think the benefits of bringing more real into our social media posts were kind of reflect on some of the earlier responses to the kind of the last question, where it was like, I used to think, I can't remember who made that response, but I used to think it was like a window into my friends' lives, you know, so I could stay connected with them. But, you know, it's not always the case. And I think, you know, if social media felt safer, then that would be a real benefit, like to be able to feel supported and like comfortable sharing so that you could put out, you know, painful things because it's also hard to call a lot of people and tell them the same thing over again, or, you know, so you could help make sure the people that loved you the most and knew you the most, like, were aware of, you know, what you were going through so they could, you know, reach out and support you. That would be a great benefit. I think the downside is that, and you know, there's been a lot of talk lately about social media and how it, you know, it's kind of evolved into this data mining of our own, you know, of ourselves and what we like to see and look at. The downside is I don't really trust enough people on the social media to share a lot of that real stuff all the time. In this case, in this example, I think celebrity too, in that example, it could be used as a form of inspiration and support for people going through similar things. I'm just not sure if I have that type of celebrity that makes it worth putting myself at risk. That would be my response to that.
Thank you, Guy. Marissa says, I think posting more reality behind the scene things humbles us and allows us to realize that terrible things like this can happen to everyone and to never take what you have for granted. And a con can also be more triggering for people who've experienced the same situation, but also make them feel like they're not alone. And Denise says she agrees with Marissa. Yeah, I tend to think also that I tend to like the real. I tend to like the real, and I tend to. It's frustrating to me when people are creating a vision of themselves on social media that I know is not accurate. Or like if I have a talk with somebody and it's really weird for me. I don't know if any of you have had this experience, but you have a friend and you have a conversation with them and you're supporting them through a really hard time that they think that they just found out that their partner is cheating on them or something like that, that's devastating to them. And you're talking to them about that. And then on social media, they're posting these happy pictures of their family. And it's like, what's going on. And you're like, I guess you're doing that to make yourself feel better, or, maybe you're using that to make to get through what you're going through. But it just feels very, I don't know, there's like cognitive dissonance for me, like when that happens. And so I don't know, but I get like why, like people not wanting to share their difficult things. And I get what Guy was saying, like some people are, always are posting their latest feeling. Like I know, especially some young people, and I try to counsel them, like, be careful about this. Like, don't put your, momentary emotions all over Facebook all the time. Like, whatever you're feeling in the moment and cursing out somebody, it's like, nobody needs to hear all that, So I guess those are some ideas, some thoughts I have.
I've had that same experience with also with couples where they're, hey, look at this man. He's my rock, my supporter. And then, a couple of weeks later, we're filing for divorce. I've had that experience too. It's just, sometimes it feels very fake, especially when what's going on behind the scenes.
And I also really appreciate, sometimes some of my Facebook friends were, if their child is going through some health crisis and they're posting, updates, and they're also posting appreciation, for the happy things that happen. Their daughter came home today and, she's eating, and having a good time, take a picture of her there. And, I think that whole thing makes you feel more connected to people, makes them feel more connected to their family, when you're far away. So those are some upsides and downsides.
Is anyone on the call interested in speaking something out loud or raising their hand?
Yeah, and Sarah says
sometimes
it depends on where you are posting something, where you're posting something. Yeah. What do you mean, where you're posting something? Do you mean on Facebook versus Twitter versus Instagram? Or do you mean where you are related to the thing that you're posting about? And Heather says, I feel like they could be posting happy pictures of their families in order to save their marriage because their partner could see that and remember the happy times.
It's interesting.
That is interesting. How people
thought about that.
I mean, that's why I think what you were talking about, Guy, how people may use social media to communicate with each other couples use it to communicate with each other, not really
Yeah.
caring that much about what the outside world is thinking. Sarah says Facebook tends to be more judgmental. Instagram tends to be everyone's perfect life, and TikTok is generally supportive. Got it. So different social media platforms are different, and Twitter is like up in the moment news, I guess. You know. Like,
I didn't know TikTok was supportive, but I've seen some videos that are like that. I'm a novice TikToker, so.
I've seen some really funny videos on TikTok, which I think that's another thing is like people using humor about their family, like somebody teasing their mother or somebody like showing their grandmother, which is like, they're funny, but they're, you know, it's not disrespectful it's not like completely disrespectful. Like they're kind of making fun and those are
Yep.
kind of, I've seen that on TikTok.
Yeah, seen those too. That's an interesting site. I'm undecided on TikTok yet for myself.
Oh, wow. And Sarah says her TikTok is full of mental health support, real talk, and moms who don't have it all together.
Huh.
I'm interested in that. Because I don't use TikTok that much, but I thought it was just like brief videos. Isn't that what TikTok is? So
It is. It's 30-second to 60-second videos, but I know I can see what Sarah's talking about, and some of it has to do with what you watch and kind of what your selections you pick, like the kind of things you're interested in, and then that will help feed your feed. So if you accidentally watch things that, you know, I guess I've watched the videos I've watched, they come through their kind of funny videos or people doing crazy tricks or some of the things you talked about. But I have seen people, like when it comes to like mental health support, sharing like their experience, or I've seen some like about like weights and people, you know, like working on their weight and kind of building up their self-esteem.
cool. Maria says, I think the benefits are being able to connect on a relatable level, such as what Chrissy may have intended as child loss is impactful and affects many women and families. That's true. Like that's what she said, is that's why she's posting this, because and she's done other things related to women's experience. And Maria also says she loathes when people argue over social media, as I believe some things are best said in person or not at all. And Sarah says it depends on what you watch. That's a TikTok like and comment on. Oh wait, is Katthe on mute? Am I on mute? No. But Guy lost his audio. I think that's what it means. Sarah says, so guess I'm on the supportive TikTok that talks a lot about those things. Mom showing their messy home or talking about how they're working towards being better parents. I love that. Sarah, it would be great if you would do a webinar on your TikTok. I'm just saying, like, if you're open to it, I think that would be really cool, because I think I think sharing like how to use TikTok to get information on, you know, not information so much, but support I'm really intrigued by that. So I don't know, just to think, if any of you would want to do a webinar on that, we would love to co-host it with you. Let's go to the next slide. And thank you, everybody. So we have a fun question. This is our Diving Deep into Family Friday. If your family was a food, which would it be and why? And you don't have to pick from the picture, but if you're thinking about if your family was a food, what would it be and why? And I was gonna say that I think if my family was a food, Guy's having audio problems, so he's not hearing anything and he's not able to be heard. So hopefully he'll get reconnected. But if my family was a food, I think it would be pizza. And why I say that is because pizza is always different. It's very rich and it's very, it feels good when you eat it. It's comfort food for me. And also it's it's different toppings. So there's like all different things involved in it. So that's what I would say. And we have a hand raised. We're going to prioritize the hand before I read the chat. So Sandra?
I was going to say the same thing,
Oh, you were?
pizza.
Oh,
Because pizza, you could put so many different toppings on it. And that's exactly what my family's like, being the Brady Bunch family. We are all so different, but
oh,
we come together as a whole.
yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sandra. Heather, you have to tell us why you said salsa. Raise your hand, or B, can you unmute Heather? I'm going to allow, I think I can do it. Let me see. Heather, are you there?
Okay, yeah.
Why did you say salsa?
My family is very blended. I'm a mixed family. We have African Americans, we have Caucasian, we also have, Mexican, Puerto Rican. So we're all mixed and we're blended and we're very opinionated family. So we're all mixed and blended and a little fiery.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heather. And Sarah says a sampler platter. We're all a little different, but make one big amazing thing. And Beatrice says, we be pasta. Okay, so Beatrice, we have to unmute you again and hear why you're pasta.
Honey, pasta, because you combine pasta with anything. Believe me, you can do vegetables, you can do meat, you can do seafood. You mentioned it, and the flavors and the textures of the pasta are so different. You have both, you have penne, you have masticelli. Uh, it's delicious, it's divine. Then I consider my family that way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Sarah says toast. It seems boring from the outside, but you can get really creative and goofy. Yeah, like avocado toast and cinnamon toast and all kinds of some. Sherry likes the sampler platter. Sarah loves the pasta one. And Anne says it's like everyone's ideas. It's hard to choose. Here's some more creative people. If your family was a food, which food would it be and why?
I was trying to think about this, and I kept leaning towards tacos. And it could be because I was in the mood for tacos, but it could also be because there's just something when it comes to tacos, they have a lot of different varieties. So like you can have, like cilantro and onions and your meat of choice. You could have different types of, it's not always steak. It's not always, it could be shrimp, it could be chicken. You can put rice in it, you could put beans in it. And so there's, it feels like there's variety, like that there's a lot of different elements of a taco. And I'm in the mood for tacos. Yeah, and it does go great with salsa.
That goes great with salsa. Awesome. So that was a little bit of getting us all hungry. Those of us who haven't eaten yet are using our lunch hour. Let's go to the next slide. I want tacos. I want the sampler platter. Oh, here Raquel says surf and turf, botana, land and sea, outdoor adventure, travel, barbecue steaks, fish. Nice. Any other last comments on foods before we go to a deeper question? All right, we're moving to the deep. What's a major strength of your family? And then the second question that goes along with this is, how has your family been strengthened in the last few months? And I will start with this one. I'll say that my family, especially my biological family, my family of origin has been strengthened in the last few months because we've been talking more regularly. I think we've been having weekly like FaceTime conversations between my mom and my sisters and me. And we are different and we have different points of views on things. And we are, it's nice to be able to just see people in the, the day to day and kind of feeling each other's energy. And when people are tired or when they look like when they're in pain, and we're just kind of like connecting more than we were because we live in different places. So our family's been strengthened, I think, also because people have different political views, and we are talking to each other kind of despite that, and really making an effort to say we're family and we're going to continue talking. Maybe we won't talk politics, but we're just going to continue talking and trying to find the love. And I think that the other way my family's been strengthened is with my sons, my spiritually adopted and also adopted son. They're pretty much some of the only people I see. And we've been starting to play games, at night. Sometimes my kids will come over, and they're adults, and they'll come over and we will play like this block us game or whatever. But we're really, I think, just having more kind of being able, I think I had a pretty deep conversation with my son last night, where we were realizing that those low key, just hanging out, just playing a game, really helps to guard against depression, and it's easy to say no. It's easy to come home from, get done with work and come home and say no to anything, to coming over for dinner or for playing a game or just having a drink or something. It's easy to say no, but when we say no, we tend to get our quality of life decreases, because then we feel like we're just working, we're living to work, to pay bills, to whatever. But when we say yes to those like informal, just hour every couple days, it does improve our quality of life. So I don't know, that's a long-winded answer, and maybe that was obvious to everybody, but that's what's going on for me. And Heather says communication and understanding of each person's point of view, able to come together in a time of need. Sarah said, my mother's side of the family has always been good at seeing the positive side of things. They've been in contact with each other frequently during COVID, and making sure that even when people are feeling down, they can find the positive things to feel good about, or give each other ideas like family game night or writing letters to each other. Anne says dependability, open communication, and appreciation for one another is a strength. Maria says resilient, because no matter what obstacles we face, we fight through it together. And Elda says, my family has become more united as we try to keep in touch and be there for each other. I call my mom almost every day, and my sisters on a consistent basis. And Sherry says, great communication and time to talk things out. How about you, Guy?
I think a major strength, I would say, for us is we seem to be very considerate of each other. Like we're always, kind of consider ourselves first. We don't make outside plans without, considering what we're doing together and what our family time has been. And I would agree with one of the other responses. Like there's some resilience there, in terms of, my wife has had health issues, since my son was born. And so us as a little tri-unit, really coming together on that and understanding, the ebbs and flows of health conditions and stuff like that, and kind of managing together, the feelings that come up with that, whether it's a son and his mother or a husband and his wife, or, a wife and her family that she, was always looking forward to having. Over the last few months, I think what's been strengthened a lot is, I guess, more consideration for my closer immediate family, which maybe would be obvious to people, but we're in the same city, but we're far apart. My mother is in Chicago. My brother's in Chicago. Father's in Palatine. But I think, through the pandemic, there has been a lot more consideration and kind of connection, just like I've heard too. They're really the only people that we did socialize with, first being very cautious and then kind of coming to a mutual family understanding. And, so we feel safer kind of being with each other. And, being there for my mother who's alone, so she's not so isolated, and making sure, and that another thing that's been strengthened is feeling at home wherever our home is. So, if someone wants to come by and spend the night or whatever, they're always welcome. And I think that's kind of, we're broken down some of those doors that we put on for ourselves. Maybe that's the way our family always operated. We were, a little bit siloed. This is my group, that's your group. So we kind of expanded those borders a little bit, I think, internally for ourselves. That'd be my thoughts there.
Cool. So who would like to raise their hand and tell us how your family has been strengthened in the last few months? I think it's good, even if you're not answering the questions, in the chat or by raising your hand, if you just think through these questions. Our hope is that, like a cafe, conversation, the questions are kind of more important than the answers sometimes, and they just kind of like stay with you in the course of your life. And, we're maybe very in touch with the negative about this time, but the question, how has your family been strengthened in the last few months? I think it's to realize that there are things that are positive that are coming out of this situation. Raquel says offering support, praying together and for each other, managing visits with our parents, checking in on each other. And Denise says strength now is being respectful of each other. We all together during COVID and trying to work and do schoolwork in the home. Yeah. Others? How has your family been strengthened in the last few months? Or how is strength look different now than before? Because I love when Denise says now, strength now is being respectful of each other. In this moment, what does strength look like in your family? Like now, as opposed to just in general. What does strength look like?
It's an interesting point with now, because I think of myself and think of my family as also, that Denise sparked this with me, thinking about my role and responsibility to the people around me in my community. And so I'm thinking also about, COVID precautions, like things like that. So I guess in a way it's kind of extended how I'm thinking about my family beyond my family too. This consideration, this more expansive consideration and support and understanding of what everyone's going through. Thinking of like the remote learner comment we had earlier today that we can all kind of relate to, just kind of understanding the immense pressures and stress that have been we've been managing for 7 months now. I don't know, the stronger connection to the people around me.
And I connect to that too, Denise, like the strength now, being respectful of each other, also being a little bit more, I think another strength is like becoming a little bit more sensitive to each other's feelings in this time and being more careful. And I think it's maybe part of respect, but being more careful about each other's emotions and how. I mean, it's interesting to get on the phone with my sister, who's a nurse in women's healthcare, and she looks strained. You can see her face; she looks strained, and it's like, "What's going on, Lisa? Is your back hurt, or what's going on?" And then she tells stories about, two. I'm not going to go into the graphic details, but two patients that day who almost had their babies die. And what she needed to do to be able to respond to keep it from happening, but just getting more in depth about what's going on. Heather says having to change roles in the family and coming together to help and support the members of my family that are in need, taking care of my nephew while my sister is working in the front lines in New York. Yeah, different roles, changing roles and stepping up. I mean, that sounds like stepping up. And I think that too is what it looks like, is like during COVID, like, at first we stopped going to visit my parents. They're in Florida because of the COVID travel restrictions. And then we realized like mom is really struggling with taking care of dad and being completely isolated. And so we started, again, trying to step up for each other. And Denise says, discussing where you're going and making sure of safety precautions. Yeah, negotiating all that stuff with each other. Like, again, that's being respectful of each other's needs and feelings and fears, about safety. and understanding that people are in different places with regard to safety, but that if we care about each other, we have to figure out how to negotiate all that. Awesome. We're getting close to the end, and I think we have one more question or set of questions that we were going to get to. The next slide, Dee. Which is, you know, we talk about the Be Strong Families family a lot. And the question is, how does your family extend beyond biological relatives? And a related question, what does family mean to you? So, I mean, you can see in the pictures, we have the one human family, the heart being family, or the soul circle, the idea of soul circle, or the idea of work family. And I started at the beginning talking about how my family does extend beyond biological relatives, and that's, it always kind of has. So what does family mean to you? And how does your family extend beyond biological relatives? So Sherry says, my work family, church family, friend family, like having different families, like my work family, different families. That's how it extends beyond. I also have spiritually adopted kids, you know, so my family, I have children who are my kids, but who are not either formally adopted or by biological kids. So I guess the fictive kin, you know, what they call fictive kin. I hate that term because it's not fictive to me. It's like I like virtual reality. I like online cafes, not virtual cafes, because it's not like they're fake. Yeah. It's like they're just not, you know.
Yeah. I think for me, I've been blessed most of my life being a performer or being in circles with people where for you know, amounts of times where you're kind of working together and exploring either human emotions or comedy. I can't say that all the plays have been so serious. And also my experience playing with different rock bands over the course of my life, and the connections that we have been able to make through the process of creation and performing have cemented those relationships like family for all my life. You know, we talked kind of, as we kind of kick this one off, you know, all the years that we've been working together, Katthe, and you know, you're a member of my, you know, you kind of stretched the barrier of work family. You are like a family member. But you know, I think of my colleagues at Be Strong Families too, and kind of you know, their role in my life, and you know, how I interact with them and how I need to show up for them. There's a responsibility there too. So I think what family means is that, you know, these relationships that I developed or, you know, nurture over time that I'm responsible for how I show up to them and how I interact with them. And I'm also responsible in someone that can help deepen that relationship. Like I can choose to take it deeper, and the deeper I take, the stronger I feel. And I see Heather, you know, we're on the same vibe today with the salsa and tacos. She said family is love. And so I think, you know, that maybe is the source of it, like the love that kind of grows, you know, in any relationship over time, and as you kind of take your time building.
So Heather's saying family is love. Love is a commitment to help, support, and care for someone other than yourself. And that's a really strong definition of family. For me, family is also about being in co-creating something, building something together. So what Be Strong Families, the Be Strong Families family is keeping Be Strong Families alive and healthy and nurturing and supporting and contributing to it. And when we partner to keep our circle together, you know, it's like partnering to keep something healthy. And Raquel says family is connecting with others by interests, faith, Bible study, and also by serving others and helping with meeting their basic needs during the pandemic: food, paying bills, showing love, care, and concern to others, neighbors, friends, coworkers, community. That's nice. So that's like almost like what Alexander was talking about in one of our previous things about love being action, you know, and that's what Heather was talking about too, a commitment to help, support, and care for someone. So the showing love and concern, like really showing up for people. What else is family? What else does family mean to you? Heather loves what Raquel says. So what else does family mean to you? Just one more minute of what family means to you. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you everybody for what, if you think of it, put it in the chat. And family is love for what each other and to being present. Thank you, Elda. We're launching the poll now, so before you leave, if you could fill out the poll. And I want to thank everybody for being here and being part of this conversation today.
Thank
We're
you.
going to have these conversational cafe-like sessions, at least probably once a week for the next, through the end of the year. And we love you participating and being here with us. Dee, can you please advance to the next slide? Just have a few things next week. Yoli will be back on Monday, meeting yourself where you are, liberating body and mind. Courtney and Beth are going to do their lovely presentation on emotional intelligence and how we cultivate enhanced connection to ourselves and others. May will be here on Wednesday about providing a safe response to people impacted by gender-based violence. And then how to develop a mindfulness practice. Angela is going to be here on Thursday for whole health, spirit, mind, body, and earth. And then Alexandra and I are going to have another open conversation next Friday. It'll have some information in it too on pandemic fatigue, surge capacity, and the limits of resilience. So we're going to be drawing from information we've seen out there on Zoom fatigue and pandemic fatigue, but also just really hope to be talking about it with all of you. So please join us next week. Love to see you here. Next slide, Dee. The other thing is the week after next is the Together for Families conference. And we're going to have 3 of the days of the Together for Families conference. We're going to not be having webinars because we're going to be there and hosting and being part of conversations there. It's really rich. We did the equity track. We helped organize the equity track. And if you want to come to that, please register. There's still space and use the discount code BSF. And finally, just want to remind people to amplify, #amplify, things that are going to move us towards being a more perfect union, #amplify respect, #amplify family, #amplify community. Thank you, Raquel. I'm glad you enjoyed, and Elda, I'm glad you enjoyed the amplify one another, amplify family. I'm glad you enjoyed the conversation. I'm glad you enjoyed the prompt questions. And again, if anybody knows someone who has a conversation you'd like to hold, has information that you think other people should have, love to have you do a webinar with us. Contact me at Katthe@bestrongfamilies.net. And Sarah, really about TikTok. I'd love to do something on TikTok for everybody and how TikTok can be part of family support. And I'll just echo what Denise says. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Dee. And
thank you, Katthe and Dee.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Take care, all. Bye.